We'll get everybody together on Monday, tomorrow. We're bringing them all back. We got a big week ahead of us of work before you begin all the celebrations on the weekend. Much more left to do. We've got the National Defense Authorization Act. We have appropriations where we're spending less money and doing it more efficiently and effectively. We have the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act we've got to reauthorize. We've got the Surface Transportation Bill. Many really important pieces of legislation. And, of course, Reconciliation 3.0. I got to have everybody working here on all cylinders, and I'm excited to bring them back.
That was House Speaker Mike Johnson detailing to Maria the legislative week ahead. The House is in session this week, but there's only 12 days left on the legislative calendar before the August recess. Now, the Speaker telling Maria one key piece of legislation will be on the president's desk today. Here's what he told her.
You had a rare bipartisan win with the housing bill, but of course now we're seeing that held up because of the president's threats to not sign it because he wants the Save America bill attached. What are you going to do about it?
Well, I met with the president for a few hours on Thursday in the Oval Office, and we talked about it in great detail. The housing bill really is a Republican priority because it will lower housing costs. We made a lot of promises to the voters, and we're fulfilling those every single day of this Congress. And this is a big part of that because it will increase the availability, the access to more housing, bring down cost, cut regulations, do the things that we know are very important for that market. I'm going to send the bill over to him. It's passed by both chambers. I'm sending it to him on Monday, and it will become law. And I certainly want him to take the biggest, boldest marker that he has and do that big Trump signature proudly on that legislation because we're delivering for the people, and that's what he wants to do.
Joining me now is West Virginia Congressman Riley Moore. He also sits on the House Appropriations Committee. Congressman, the president said that he would not sign the 21st Century Road to Housing Act until the Save America Act is passed. Your thoughts on where we stand right now today?
Well, Cheryl, thanks so much for having me on. And as the speaker laid out, he had a 3-hour meeting with the president talking about this bill and how important it is to Americans. And obviously, the president understands, obviously, housing costs is an issue. A lot of that driven by red tape, which gets eliminated in this bill, which was created by Democrat policymakers previously. So we're cleaning up a lot of the mess to make affordable housing achievable for Americans all over the country again. Now, the speaker said he's going to send the bill to the president. Obviously, that bill could be signed by the president or it will just pass into law. But the president is 100% correct here, is that the Save America Act must be passed and stop. Save America Act must be done. This is a critical piece of legislation to saving the integrity of our elections in this country, which have been riddled with problems and errors and stolen votes for many, many years, and this is going to put a stop to it.
Well, okay, let's talk about the Save America Act, because that has been a top priority for President Trump and for some Republicans. The House passed it multiple times. Obviously, the Senate has not voted on it, but Senate Majority Leader Thune has repeatedly said he doesn't have the votes. And some of his colleagues are saying, well, otherwise on the program. Speaker Johnson has a plan to get around the Senate's 60-vote threshold. Here's what he told Maria yesterday. Watch.
We're going to pass it again, and this time we're going to try to put it on a reconciliation bill. And the reason that's so important, Maria, as you know, is it prevents the necessity of 60 votes in the Senate. The Democrats want no part of this. And remember, this is very basic stuff. We're just going to make sure you have to have proof of citizenship to register to vote, and then show an ID when you turn out at the ballot box. These are 90-10 public opinion issues, and more than 70% of Democrats want to do it, but not the Democrats in the House and Senate. And so we've got to go around them. And I told Anna Paulina Luna and a couple other colleagues, I said, it makes no sense for us to shut down our good work in the House just because Senate Democrats refuse to do the people's will. We've got a lot more to do. We've got to keep it going.
Representative Anna Paulina Luna, here is what she had to say about all of this and where she stands right now.
I think that we have some great House members, and there are a lot of these senators that say that they support the Save America Act, yet they don't want to talk to their leadership about the standing filibuster, and they won't put pressure on leadership to embrace it. That's really the one way that we can get a lot of the legislation, not just Save America Act, through the Senate and get through the blockade in order to codify President Trump's overwhelmingly popular policies, in which why he was elected the way that he was. And so I'm in favor of that, and I think that you're going to see, as more of these House members start to speak up in some of these more moderate states, you're going to see the Senate kind of buckle under pressure. But again, look, this is a very bare minimum deliverable that is bipartisan. The American people want voter ID, and so it's unacceptable that we can't deliver on that. And so I'm going to be a royal pain in the butt to the Senate until it happens.
Well, and so she was on the program in March, but she's doing exactly what she told Maria that she felt was important, and that was the president's agenda on Save America Act. And House Republican Conference Chair Lisa McClain also told Maria that Reconciliation 3.0 has got a narrow path forward. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, as we've seen in the One Big Beautiful Bill, we did that through reconciliation process. We also funded ICE, CBP, and HSI through reconciliation. And yes, that only takes a simple majority to pass a reconciliation package. So we can attach the Save America Act to Reconciliation 3.0 and get that through with a simple majority. Now, I'm not breaking news here, but the House is obviously constantly and consistently held hostage to the inaction of the Senate. We've passed this thing 3 times. I don't care what we attach it to. It's just got to get done. Now, I think Reconciliation 3.0 makes the most sense because it's a simple majority to pass it. Or they can go, as Anna was just talking about, go through a talking filibuster if they have to. Whatever they have to do to get it done, just get it done.
Well, Congressman, obviously we're going to be watching it as a very busy week. I mean, between you got fiscal funding bills and defense policy, there's a kids online safety bill. I mean, all of this, the calendar is short. Are you confident that the House can get through all this business before the July 4th holiday?
Well, yes, I think that we can get through a lot of this business. We've got the NDAA on the floor this week. We're going to have appropriations bills on the floor this week. And kind of an understated news story here is, as a member of the House Appropriations Committee, we have passed all 12 appropriations bills out of the House committee at this point. And we've already passed 2 on the floor. And we're going to move to the next 2, which is going to be state foreign operations and then energy and water. So we're going to continue to do our work. We're going to get NDAA done. We've got surface transportation. We need to get FISA done. I think we can do all of these things if we were just all pulling in the same direction and working to continue to pass President Trump's agenda.
All right, we're going to be watching that work today. Congressman, real quick before you go, Politico is reporting that some Republicans are lobbying for you to be the next labor secretary, but they worry that that could affect the GOP's razor-thin majority in the House. Have you spoken to the president about this? Would you accept that job if you were nominated?
Well, Cheryl, look, I'm just focused on my job right here, which is representing the great people of the state of West Virginia. It is an honor to have my name just even mentioned in a conversation, particularly when we're talking about the greatest president of my lifetime, one of the most transformational in American history, particularly as it relates to the American worker and putting him and her first, which is personally very important to me. Somebody who started my career off actually as a welder in a mining operation, who comes from a family of generational union membership, which is a huge part of the coalition that President Trump built, and we had to continue to build on if we're going to win these elections in the future. So this is hugely important to me. Honored to even be in the conversation, but I'm focused on my job right now.
All right. Well, if you want to break any news, you always have an open invitation on our program. Congressman Riley Moore, it's great to have you on. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Cheryl.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, everybody.